Hi, this is Olajide from CTF Security and welcome to another exciting video on HackTheBox. In today's video, we're going to be exploiting a HackTheBox challenge called Instant. We're going to be approaching this as if we have no idea of what kind of vulnerability exists on this machine, and the fun part is that we have to figure it out as we go. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, welcome back to the challenge. Now we have our target IP address, which is 10.10.11.37. And what we're going to do is to copy this out. And then I'm going to go to my browser and we just paste this right in here. And you can see that this is redirecting us to instance.htb. So I have to add that to our host file. So I'm going to just spawn up a new terminal and we're going to open that file using Sublime Text etc/host. Okay, so what we're going to do is paste in our IP address in here. And then we're going to put the instance.htb. And I'm going to save this. So let's go back and refresh just to make sure that we are okay. Let's check that again. Instance.htb 10.10.11.37. Hope that's correct. Okay, yeah. All right, so that's fine. Now we can see we have our web application and it says instantly send fonts to anywhere. And we have a big button here to download some form of an APK file, which is instant.apk. We also have the feature link, which just takes us to a section of the screen. We also have the FAQ section here, which does not really have any link in here, just some bunch of informations. We also have the blog section, which takes us to the news from instance section here. You can as well just click on any of this hyperlink, but it just reloads the page. So we don't really have much here. We also have another link here which says download now, which is pointing us to the instance.apk. So one thing I can do here is I can either force for init directory from this application, but that would be waste of our time. So what we're going to do is to just download, since we have two different links pointing to the instant.apk file, we're going to download this file and see if we can decompile the file. So we also have the join the community, which is still taking us back to instant.apk file if you look at the bottom left corner of the screen. So let's go ahead and download. So it says instant.apk keep insecure download blocked. So we're going to just keep this. Okay, while we are downloading that, this is about 5.2 MB file. So I'm just going to grab that file. I'm going to copy it and let's create a directory for today's video. So let's go to the documents, HTB, YouTube. So I'm going to create a new directory here called instance, cd instance. Okay. So what we're going to do is to paste this file inside this directory we just created. Let's go over to documents and HTB, YouTube, instance. So I'm going to paste it in here. So we have our APK file. Let's go back here, clear the screen, and do ls, and you can see that we have our instance.apk file. So what we can do is try to decompile this instance.apk file, and to do that we can actually use a tool called APK tool, and I think I have that installed already. If you don't have that, I think it's inside the Kali Linux repository, and you can also check it out on GitHub. So the next thing I want to do is to specify the compile flag, or you can actually run this. Sorry about that. Okay, yeah, I think that came up correctly. I think it has a specific flag for decompile. I don't think it's here. All right, so we'll just run that. APK2, we're going to specify decompile instance.apk file. And this is going to just take a few seconds to decompile. So we can actually see the processes right here on the screen. Using APK2, the version dirty on instance.apk, loading resource table, decompiling the Android manifest.xml, and blah, blah, blah. So I think we have this all done. So what I can do is to take a look at what we have. So we have a new directory created by the APK tool, and we have all the files that made up the instance.apk inside this directory here. So what we can do is to change directory to instance directory, and here let's see what we have. So we have lots of files in here. Can I do sorry, I just ran a window command right there, so I can do ls so that we can be able to identify which ones are the files and which ones are the directories. So you can see that these are the different directories. The one in blue and the one in white are files. So we have the apk2.yaml, we have the Android manifest.xml, and we have the asset directory, the Kotlin, we have the lib, we have original, we have the res, we have the smally, and we have the unknown. Now, it is some kind of difficult task for you to start going into each of these directory, because each of these directory have subdirectory in them. Some of them have many subdirectory within them. So what we can do is to use a regular expression to look for a certain kind of file we're looking for. And what we should be looking at here for is probably some URL to some certain APIs for the instant web application, or some credentials, login information, because we currently do not have really large amount of information regarding the instant application yet. So what we can do, let me just grab the regular expression here. Just a minute, just a second rather. So what I can do is I can try to navigate into each of these directory and then perform our regular expression to search for some certain strings from each directory from the application. So what we can do right here is, first of all, check up the files that we have, which is the apk2.yaml and the Android manifest.xml. But that doesn't give us much information, does it? So I can do at apk2.yaml, and this does not really contain any credential or link or URL to any important resources on the instant application. So we can also do cat Android manifest.xml also, which does not really contain any vital or sensitive information in regards to the instance.htb application. So then we begin to move to the directories. So let's start off from the assets, I guess. So I can go to the assets. Let's do cd assets. And then we can run our regular expression by using grep. We want to specify regular expression. Then we can paste in our regular expression here. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to use this regular expression to search for a certain pattern of string that are present in this asset directory. And this includes all the subdirectory. So we can decide to specify the dot so that this regular expression will perform its action inside this asset directory, which we are currently in. So what we can do is to click on enter. And this doesn't seem to have any crucial information. So we only have one, which is desktop, and I don't think any crucial information is right there. So you can see them. So we don't really have anything because mostly when we have configuration files, settings file that contain important information like maybe URL, credentials, they are usually enclosed in single quotes within the configuration files or so within the application. So that is why we're using this regular expression to see if we can get important information that are either enclosed in single quotes, double quotes, or have the equals to prepended to that particular string. So what we can do is to just move out of this directory and let's check out other directory that we have. We also have the Kotlin. So I'm going to cd Kotlin. So what do we have? Let's grab our regular expression. Where do I have it? Okay, I think it's here. Space that right here. Not really much. Let's go back. So we have to be fast about this. Let's go to lib and let's run our regular expression. Not really. Let's go to cd original and let's see what we have there. Okay, so in the original file, on a sub directory, I think this happens to be another subdirectory, I guess. We have this word enclosed in a single quote, which have a single quote, semicolon, life cycle, and the like. But this does not really look like a good information. So what we're going to do is just move away from that directory and see what else we can find. So we can go into the next one. I think res is the next. cd res. So we can run our command once again. Okay. Now we have a lot of files. Now we have a lot of files. Okay, I think it's done. So we can begin to check this out. Let's bring this down a bit. So I'm going to be just fast about checking this. Some bunch of ABC toolbar collapse description. I don't think we have anything like credentials. Not really. Nothing. Nothing. So you can as well check this carefully, but I don't think we have any important information right here. So as usual, I'll just go back, take a look at what we have next. We have the smalley directory. So I can do cd smalley. Then we can run our command once again. Okay, so we also have a bunch of informations, bunch of them. Let's go up. Let's see what we have. You see that we don't really have anything, or am I scrolling too fast? Don't think we have any important information here. Okay, so let's try to do ls. We have a bunch of information. We have Android, we have Kotlin, we have org, we have PL. So I think what we can do is, can we pipe this into probably anything that says, sorry about that, into probably anything that says, let's grab the word instant, since we're dealing with instant. Then we can have a wildcard also at the end. And this should be case insensitive, by the way. So I think that should be tag I. And let's see what we got. Nothing. Nothing. Okay, I think I'm beginning to find something. We have something inside the /com/instant lab/instant /transaction activity, which is nice. We also have the URL, my wallet v1.instant.htb, which is pointing to an API. Okay, for transaction, we have other things. Okay, we have it here as well. To confirm PIN. This is nice. Let's see. Can we open Notepad or Sublime so that we can document this? I think I can open a new terminal. Just open Sublime. Okay, so what we're currently working on is instant.htb, and it looks like we found something. This happens to be an access token. It needs authorization, and the URL is my wallet. The subdomain, I beg your pardon, is my wallet v1.instant.htb. So I'm going to copy this API endpoint, and probably it might be useful to us. So let's see, API endpoint. So we have one API endpoint already. What else do we have? What else do we have? This is also pointing to the same URL, but this is pointing to a different endpoint. Copy, and let's have it here. Okay, so we have a JSON web token right here. I'm going to grab this, and let's go back. Token found. This is pointing to profile. Register. So the reason why I'm copying all these endpoints is some might probably not work. So I just need to have the whole endpoint so that we can test. Let's go back in here. I have two profiles. I'm just going to do away with one. And let's go back. Do we have any other useful information? Correct login attempt. Okay, this is the login endpoint. Start everything. Start all the URL. Now, if we take a look at what we have here, and you can see they're all starting with the HTTP. I can actually filter by HTTP once again to be sure that these are all the endpoints that we have. So let's go over to the terminal. We're going to review our last command. And here we're going to just add HTTP. Oh, that's a bunch of information. Isn't that too much? Okay, that's not working. What if we use instance.htb? Okay, so I think that is all that we have within this decompile APK file. So let's head over back. And what we can do here is to add this to our sc/host file so that we'll be able to navigate this without any issue. And let's go to the sc/host. I'm going to paste this in here and we're going to save. So let's go back. Okay, so this is not opening. What if we pick one of these API endpoints since they are pointing to the same subdomain? So let's go ahead and let's pick this profile here. Copy. So we have the 401, which is unauthorized. So let's actually see if we can bypass this unauthorized. Probably we need a certain credential to be authorized to be able to visit this particular URL. And fortunately for us, we have a token from the file we decompiled earlier. So we can actually try to authenticate using this JSON web token. So an easiest way to do that would be, let's go to Bob Suite and see if our requests are being captured. I'm going to send this to add to scope. And if we go to proxy, we can only filter the show only in scope item. Okay, so let's see. Not added this one. Let's go to Bob Suite and we can go to scope and add to our scope. So we have our API endpoint, the request to our API endpoint, which is a GET request, and we're going to forward this to the repeater. And let's just send this to see what response we get. So we got the 401 unauthorized. Okay. So what I need to do here would probably be to add the authorization, I guess. Where correct, and we're going to authenticate with this. Let's send. Okay, so we got an internal server error. Or am I not doing well? Obviously, this doesn't have to be in quotes, does it? Okay, so I can as well remove the bearer. And let's strip off the quotation and send. Okay, so we have a bad request, but I think the issue here is we forgot to add our column, and this should go through. All right, good. So we have the API/v1/view/profile being loaded, and our response happens to be this. We have the profile information along with our account status, email, invite token, role, which we are currently admin. We have username to be instant admin. We have wallet balance of about 10 million, and we have our wallet ID. So what we can do here is to try to assess this. So we can actually do show response in browser, and let's go to our browser, and then we can assess this. You can see our response in here, which is exactly the same thing that we have. So what we can do here is try to find other information from this application to see if we can actually get the entry point to the API for this application. Since we've tried to load this, so if you go back here, even when you try to access the view, I don't think that will load. Certainly not. Not really. Can actually try to change this to V2. Nothing. Can we access the /API? Nothing. Not even the base URL. Absolutely nothing. So let's go back to our terminal, and then we're going to copy this and try to see if we can get more information from a different directory. Let's go one step backward, or let's check the unknown first. So cd unknown. Nothing. Cd res once more. Okay. So I have an email address. Says please contact support@instant.htb to have your account recovered. So we might want to get this email just in case. Let's call this email found. Let's go back, and then we have some file inside the XML/network security _config.xml. So it points to this URL here, which says my wallet v1.instant.htb, which we already have. And we have a second one, which points to swagger-ui.instance.htb. So we're going to pick that up as well. And first of all, we want to add it to list of our discovery. And secondly, we want to add it to our host file. So just put a space, and we add it to the host file. And I'm going to save this. What's wrong? Okay, so we can go back and load this page. Interestingly, this happens to be the API documentation. You can see the Swagger UI instant.htb/API docs. So probably we can see how to make use of the APIs and see probably if this can lead to any vulnerability within the application. So we're going to give that few seconds to load up. Still loading. Okay, so we have the different APIs endpoint in here. We have the instant transfer fund without limit. And the very first one we have is the API VI admin /add user. And we have the API v1 admin list user. First thing I want to do is I want to try to see if I can list the user within the application. And to do that, let's just click on this get request. We want to try this out, but we need to authenticate one way or the other. So let's just see how it works. So the response content type is application/JSON. If you are unauthorized, you receive 401. If you're authorized, I guess you receive 200. So let's see if we can try this out. We want to execute. Can we do that? What does it say? We got 401 error. So I think there's a way we need to authorize. How can we authorize here? Let's see. Okay, so we can actually click this button right here and authorize. We paste our JSON web token here as the bearer auth. So let's go get that. Let's pick that up. Copy. And we're going to take it to the API documentation. Paste it in here. And we're going to authorize. You can see that we're currently logged in. I'm going to close this. Now we're going to execute once more. Okay, so you can see that now we have 200 code and we have a list of users. Let's just pick this up. List of users. All right, so we have the first one to be admin. The role is admin. The secret pin is 87348. We have the status to be active. We have the username to be instant admin. And we have the wallet ID. We also have another user called Shiroig. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly. We have the role to be Instantian. We have a secret pin to be 42845. We have the status to be active, and we have the username to be Shirog. All right. So we have credentials. What else can we do? Let's go back to the application. Let's see other things we can explore. Let's cancel this one. We have login, register, API profile. I don't think that is necessary. I think we've accessed this previously from the other endpoint. Logs. So we have logs and we have transactions. So let's see what we can get from the logs. We have the API v1 admin read logs, and we have API v1 admin view log. Okay, so here we can read application log. Here we can list available logs. So let's work with this first one. So it has an input box where you enter the name of log file you want to read, I guess. And then if this is correct and you're appropriately authenticated, you receive a 200. If you're not, you receive 401. And you can also receive 404 if the log file cannot be found, and 500 if there is a server error. Interestingly, so let's see how this works. We're going to try it out, and it gave us a sample to use. So let's assume you enter a file name called one.log. So what happened is this is going to search for the log file within this particular directory. So you can see that we have the /home /shiroge/logs. Then the file name will get appended to it. So let's try that. I'm going to add a one.log in here. And then I'm going to execute since we're already authenticated. And this is what we get in return. You can also do this using call, by the way. And this is what we get, a 201 response. We also have a response header. What else do we have? Okay, so that is just what we have. So what happens if we use 2 and execute? Okay, so we got internal server error. Okay, so let's say, what can we do here? Since this is an input field, I can decide to see if I can perform a directory transversal to see if I can read, since this is the structure of the request. So I can probably see, can I just zoom in probably? Okay. I could probably see if I can navigate myself outside this log directory to see if I'll be able to read other directory within the application. So let's see if we can actually do that. Okay, so can we try // etc/ password. So this is like 4-step back, and I'm going to execute. Of course, this gets executed. So you can see now that we currently have the sc/password file here, which is showing that we have the user Shiroge here with a bin bash shell. Do we have any other user? I don't think so. Data root. Okay. You can also request this using call, by the way. So let's go in here. So you can see that we get the same output in here. You can see the user that we currently saw while using the API doc file to access the API. And what we can do is go back, because we can't actually use this to execute code. What we can just use it for is to read file. Now, we're not thinking of what are the important files that we can actually read. And one thing I can do is to actually see if this application has SSH. If it does, we might probably see if we can read the SSH key of this particular Shiroge user. So to actually test that is we can perform a very basic scan. So let's clear this. Let's just scan port 22. So we're going to specify port 22, and then we're going to specify the instance.htb. We can perform sv. So what this is going to do is just scan port 22. It's going to perform a script scan, and it's also going to perform a version scan for us to be able to know if the SSH is running on this application, and that is just going to take a few seconds since we're scanning just one port. So we have our output. Port 22 is actually open, and it is an SSH service port. So let's go back and see what we can do. Okay, so let's go to Bob Suite. I think Bob Suite is capturing some of these requests we're sending. Is it? So we have to add this to our scope. Did I do that correctly? I think we should have more information. Let's send that. Let's send that again. Execute. Okay. All right. Great. So what we can do now is from here, we can actually change our payload. So starting from the sc/password, so we can try to access something different, something like dot. Okay, we already have that in place, the dot/slash, and we can, just for simplicity, we can decide to remove all this. And let's just make sure that without any encoding, this still works. Okay, it does. So we can add, instead of viewing sc/password file, we can decide to see if we can have access to Shiroge. Since this is Shiroge logs, we can actually see if we can have access to Shiroge's SSH key. And to do that, we're going to add the .ssh/idrsa. There should be hyphen here, I think. I think there's an issue. I think that is as a result of multiple transversal. So because it needs to read this file from the Shiroge's directory, and let's go one step. I think this should work. Okay, so we have access to the IDRSA file. But if you look at it closely, the IDRSA file is being enclosed in quotations, and we have some escape character being used. Like in this case here, we have new line, and this is not normally how normal SSH looks. So we need to format this properly before we can actually use this SSH key. So to do that, we're just going to grab the entire SSH key first. And I think this is where it ends. I'm going to copy. I'm going to take it to our file and try to modify it here. So what we're looking at is removing, number one, we're removing the quote. Number two, we're removing the new line escape characters. So I'm going to start from here. So I'll probably fast forward this video so that we can skip all this long process. So we also need to remove the comma, which is not necessary in an SSH key. So instead of using the new line, we just take that line to the next line using the enter key. And we need to remove this as well, including this. Okay, so that was pretty intense. Now that we're done formatting the private key, what we can do is to copy this key. Make sure we copy everything, and we can create our own key. But first, we need to go into, I think I have the directory for that. Okay, let's just use this one. No, I have document. So let's create a file called id_rsa. We're going to paste it in here. And I'm going to save. And I'm going to modify the permission for this file to be the permission for private key. So we're going to use the change mode +x id_rsa. Sorry about that, not +x. We're going to be using 600. So let's check that permission. All right, good. So let's try to authenticate using this particular RSA key. To do that, we can use, let's clear the screen first. SSH and we can specify the ID RSA file. Then we can use Shiro, is that the name? Shiroge. Copy that. At instant.htb. Can as well specify the ports to be port 22. That's strange. Let's just do that again. Let's see. So probably I think our SSH key had some issue. I'm just going to take a look at this key and then we're going to copy and paste it back. So let's cancel this. And I'm going to open that file once more. So let's do SSH. That is strange. Close this and try that again after reviewing the private key. All right, we are in. So I think there was an error while formatting the private key. So I can actually review that. Let's cd // cat id rsa. So you can see that we still have the same private key which we use. So if you encounter the same error, all you have to do is regrab your SSH key and try to reformat it properly by removing all the double quotes, the new line character, and the commas that we have there. So possibly I skipped one of them. That is why we're having that issue. But now that all is sorted, we can take a look at who we are currently logged in as. Who am I? And we are Shiroge. And let's see, does Shiroge has any file? So we have our user.txt. So can we view that? And we have our user flag here. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to also make sure my keys are replaced. All right, good. So this is the user.txt. Now that we have gained the user access to this machine, the next thing is to see, can Shiroge run sudo? This is very slow. So it's asking for Shiroge, which we don't have Shiroge's password, or do we? Don't think we do. Oh, I think I pasted this the wrong place. So we do not have credential for Shiroge, which is the password, but we have the SSH key. And if we try to take a look at the information we have previously on this machine, we only have a username and a PIN, and I don't think this PIN would possibly work as password. But we can try. We can try. Absolutely not. Okay, so let's try to enumerate further. And what I want to do now is to actually run a scan on this machine to discover files like username, password, all those sensitive information, or probably database file that exists on this Shiroge user account. And to do that, I've also crafted another regular expression to perform the scan. So this time around, we will be using the grep, specifying the regular expression. And you can see that it is very similar to the previous command that we used to search for the string that are enclosed in single or double quotes. But this time around, we are adding the .db. We can also change this to .config or .any file format that we want to look for within the application. So let's try to run this. And you can see that we're getting a bunch of files. So before I review that, I can also change the .db to maybe config. Okay, that is not returning any positive information, I guess. Okay, I think that is all we have. We have a particular file which is called unix.py and util.py that has this content in them, which is, it has the word config, which is enclosed in double quotes. So let's just go over to the database that return ample amount of results. So we have, first of all, inside the project slash my wall slash instant API, my wallet slash app.py, we have an SQLite string here which says SQLite instant.db. Okay. Now we have an idea of what kind of database we might be dealing with. What else do we have? So we have a database name already. What else do we have? My data.db, which is another DB. But this one happens to be inside the automap.py, which is inside the my wallet slash my environment. I don't think I'm interested in that, but you can also check that out. What else do we have? We have my DB, which is inside another Python environment. Absolute paths to file, foo.db, which is for session.py. Okay, so let's work with the first one here, which is inside the instant API, my wallet slash app.py. So what I'm going to do is grab this full URL and let's take a look at that file. Okay, so let's scroll up. Let's see, we have instance.db. So possibly, if this is pointing to instance.db, we definitely have a file called instance.db within this application. Do you have any other credential? db.session. The app route, token, transactions. Okay, so let's see. We have logs. Let's go one step backwards. So we are possibly looking for instance.db file. Okay, so it's inside the Shiroge slash. Let's see that part again. Let's see my wallet. Let's take a look at that. No such file or directory. That's strange. Okay, so let's see what we have. CD Shirok. And now let's paste the part. That should work. Okay, good. So we have the app.py instance requirement serve.py. What do we have in the instance? And there you go. We have the instance.db file. So what we can do is to download this to our attacker machine to see if we can actually open up this instance.db since we're dealing with SQLi3 database. So what we can do is to open up a Python 3 HTTP server here. So we're going to use module HTTP. That is very, very slow. So we're currently serving at port 8000 here. So when we go to our attacker machine, we can download this file. So to do that, we're going to use wget, and then we're going to use HTTP, the target, which is going to be instance.htb on port 8000. And the file we want to download from there, what's the name? Is instance.db. Okay, so that is downloading. Now you see that we've successfully downloaded the instant.db. So we can check what kind of file is it. Sorry about that. File instant.db. And instant.db happens to be an SQLite 3 database. So what we can do is to use SQLite 3 to open up the instance.db. So we can specify the tables. We want to look at the table, and we have the wallet underscore transaction table. We have the wallet underscore user table, and we have wallet underscore wallet. So we're interested in the users within the application. So what we can do is to use the SQL command to select all the columns from the wallet underscore user table. Want to terminate our query and see what we have. So we have some credentials. So let's add this up to list of what we have. So we have the Shiroge hashed password, which is in PBKDF2. We also have the instant admin password right here, but you can try all you want. I think these passwords are strong passwords because I have tried to use hashcard, John, and even other script I found on GitHub to crack this, but to no avail. So what we're going to be doing is to be enumerating further. And in this case, we're also going to be looking for other file. Let's see. We can stop this by now. So what we're going to be doing now is try to see if we can get further information. So we'll search for the database, we'll search for the config file. We didn't really get more information. So the next thing we're going to be looking out for are backups within the application. And we can actually use grep as well to see, can we get, let's just stick with the ignore case. Okay, so this might probably take a while. What we're trying to do is to look for the word backup or files or folder that has the name backup within the server in here. So this might probably take a while. Okay, so that was probably taking a while. So I'm going to exit this, and we can manually go back to the root of the application. Okay, so what I can do is to try to list recursively. Then can I pipe this into backups? Server is so slow. Not working. I was wrong. So we're going to pipe it into grep. Okay, so I found one backup. Is that the only one? So I found another one. So let's see. We have some bunch of backups. Where did we find the first one? So this is the first one inside the /opt/backups. And the second one, is inside the /var/backups. So let's try to access the /var/backups. So we have some package alternative.tar.1.gumzip, which is GZ. We also have the package diversions. Nothing really interesting here. We check out the other one, which is opt/backups. So let's do cd opt/backups. And let's take a look at what we have. So we have Solar Putty. And can we see what that is? It's actually a directory. And we have some session backup.dat. Okay, so since I'm coming across this for the first time, I might want to look this up. So let's try to do some basic Googling. So let's try to do some basic Google search. And we're going to just paste in, let's grab that command. Solar Putty. Solar Putty for Windows, manage remote session in a professional way. Connect to any server or device in your network with Solar Putty. What about Solar Putty session? Do we get anything? This is just talking about how to possibly use Solar Putty. So let's just add the session backup.dat since that is what we're dealing with. Okay, so we have something from GitHub. We have something from HackMD as well. And we have something from SolarWind. Let's try to check what we have on the GitHub page. Okay, so from voidsec, we have the GitHub script called Solar Putty Decrypt. And what does it do? What does it do? This happens to be a window.exe, and to run it, you just use the application, you specify the backup file and the password. But fortunately, we have no password. Let's see, it also says session will be outputted on screen and saved into the user desktop. Okay, so we're not going to be using this. So after some research, I came across a particular script which is for Linux. Since we're using Linux, let's see. So I'm just going to bring it over here. So it is an, let me see what's happening. Okay. So it is an actual script we can use to decrypt the session backup.dat file. And if you take a look at it, well, it is a Python script. It has two different scripts here, plus a README file. So we have the exploit one, which happens to be the decrypt.1 for basic decryption. We have the exploit 2 is for dictionary attack. So since we do not really have a password to decrypt the session, let's go back. So since we do not really have a password to be able to decrypt the session backup.dat file, as opposed to what we found on this particular GitHub repo. So what this GitHub repo does is the application collects the session data and the password and then use it to decrypt the session. But in this case, we have no password to be able to use to decrypt it. So what we're going to do is we're going to be passing the word list to the decrypt.py script in order to be able to decrypt the session backup.dat file. So let's see how this can be done. First of all, we need to clone the repo. So to do that, let's go to the script. I'll just go to code. I'm going to copy this and let's exit the SQLite. Okay, so git clone. So this is going to download the Solar Putty decryptor Pi. And let's see what we have. CD Solar. So we have our two file. So we only need the second one, which is using dictionary attack. So we're going to mark this change mode plus X. That was wrong. .py. So when we do ls, okay, 2 is missing. All right, great. So now we can do cat decrypt, or rather, let's do sublime decrypt2.py. And here we can take a look at the script, and you can see the key it is using, the PBKDF2, which happens to be what the hashing algorithm we got previously is also using. And what else? Do we need to pass anything? Any argument parser, Solar Putty session decryptor, path to the file, and path to the password file. So we possibly need 3 different arguments during this program execution. the application itself, the session file path, and the path to the password file, which is the word list dictionary file we want to use to decrypt this. So let's go back. First of all, I want to locate my word list, which is going to be rockq.txt. So now that we have the path to rockq, so what we can do is to use the, can we go with the Python 3 decrypt2.py. Then we need to specify the session data. Do we have the session data? I don't think so yet. So we haven't downloaded the session data. So I'm going to download the file in here. So we need to go back to the application where the session data is, which is in our current working directory. We're going to start another Python HTTP server to be able to serve the file to our attacker machine using the http.server module. Okay, just a second. I'll just plug in my PC. Okay, good. So now that we are serving on port 8000, we can go ahead to our attacker machine. We can do wget just like before, but this time around, we only need the session underscore, I beg your pardon. This time around, we only need the sessions backup.dat. So I'm going to copy and let's paste in here. Okay, so we've successfully downloaded that file. We have the sessions backup.dat. We can actually check it as well. Okay, an ASCII text. Can we even cut the file? Not really. So the file is encrypted. So let's try to run the Python script now. decrypt2.py, and then we can specify, if you take a look at the script, we need the path to the session file, which is in our current working directory. So all we need to do is specify sessions backup.dat. And lastly, we need to specify the path to the password file. So let's quickly do that, which is the rockq file path. Okay, so we need a particular module called crypto. And I think a module that is responsible for that, or a Python module that is responsible for that, is the PyCryptoDome. So what I can do this is, because I have that particular module, you can as well try to install. But when you try to install, let's try to say pip install PyCryptoDome. You see that you get this message which says error, externally managed environment. This environment is externally managed. To install Python package system wide, try apt install this, blah, blah, blah. So I can actually do this on a virtual environment, which I have existing already. In case you don't know how to create virtual environments, kindly drop in the comment section below so that I will create another video on how to create and manage virtual environment in Linux system. So, but for now, we're just going to be activating one of my virtual environment that I have set up for pen testing, cloud pen testing to be specific. So what I'm going to do is to use the source, and I'm going to paste this. This is the path to my virtual environment. You can see this is the name of the virtual environment. And to activate it, there's a file called the bin/activate. You need to specify source before specifying the path. So obviously here I have two sources, so that is not going to work. I'm going to remove one of them, and this should work. So you can see currently we are activated as the CloudCTF virtual environment. So let's try to install Python CryptoDome. And you can see that is already installed, requirement already satisfied. So the next thing we want to do is to run our previous command. And you can see a message that was very quick, done, decrypted. File is saved in solar putty session decrypt underscore australia.bin. So continue trying other password? No, because the password is already decrypted. So let's try to look at that file here. So this is the file he's talking about. So we can try to see if we can read the file. And yes, we can. So you can actually see some credential instance root, username is root, and the password is this. So I'm just going to grab this part and let's add to our note. So encrypted credential. Sure, I don't know if I spelled that correctly. So we have our password, we have our username. So we can possibly, since we have SSH previously, I think there was a scan we did that showed that we have SSH. I have not cleared that. I think I have done that. Okay, so we actually logged into Shiroge's account using SSH. So it means that we might possibly be able to switch account using the new password, or we just SSH directly into the root. So let's see how we can do that. Where's the Shirog? Okay, yeah, so we're going to stop the HTTP server. So I'm going to use the switch user to root, and we're going to supply password for root. And you can see that we are currently logged in as root. So I can try who am I, and we are root. You can cd/root ls. So we have our root.txt, and we can cut root.txt. You can see it. And just grab this and specify root.txt here. So you can also explore further. Try to check what do we have in cd/var/html/... Is that correct? No, it's not correct. I think it's ... before HTML. Yeah, cd HTML. Do we have? So we have downloads, index.html. We have some JavaScript. Can we do cat index.html? you can see that this is the index.html that we interacted with at first. You can see the APK file we downloaded, the link to the APK file we downloaded earlier during our reconnaissance phase. What else can you see? Global transactions and all those sections that we clicked around during the reconnaissance phase as well. So practically what we're reviewing now is this particular page right here. So you can see a button which is saying download now. If you go back here, I think I saw it earlier. Is the top. Where are you? Okay, so this is it. You can see the download now button. So you can actually take a look at everything with this application, but I don't think there's any much functionalities within the application. You can as well check the JavaScript files. You can actually check out the index.html, which is actually not a JavaScript, and we can also check the script.js here, which I don't think any really functionality is happening here. You can as well review this and give me a feedback in the comment section. So guys, that will be all in this video. If you've learned one or two things from this video, kindly like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you in the next video.